must compliment the efforts being initiated by MAIT and also to congratulate for the successful and very useful event we have organized here, and for inviting me to be a part of you to understand the two critical, very important subjects which you have chosen, and very good presentations being made. I do acknowledge that these are important efforts to complement the efforts of the Government of India in its effort to successfully carry forward the Digital India program. And two of these important papers which you have released today on the Internet of Things for effective disaster management and other enablement, which is a framework for citizen-centric services. And both the subjects are very important if we have to realize that the governance means for the people. I always feel that in India, and Prime Minister also has talked about it, that we had the tradition of too much of government and too less, or say less of the impact of governance. And especially if you go to rural areas, people are living their own life. They are very traditional in their approach and their expectation. And unless you intervene in their life, it's not going to change. We don't see much scope of improvement unless there is a very divinely intervention from people who can make certain change in their life. I also represent a state which is very far away, which is very different from the life in cities. I also think that how to make this intervention to make that critical change, very crucial improvement in their life. One of the important way to reach out to the people today is, of course, through the process of the effort which we have talked about, Digital India. India is such a vast country and population is so huge. I also feel sometimes that how do we handle or take care of the people's problem unless we have a correct data or at least a correct information about our own citizens. To be very honest, our national population register, or the register where we maintain the list of Indian citizens, itself is very doubtful. And not to talk about the illegal migrants or illegal people living in India. That is why sometimes when we talk about, and they present some controversies, for us it is not controversy. For some people, when we want to really define who are refugees, who are real Indian, and what should be the step of the government. And India is a very welcoming country for those people who are in distress. And we say that we want to see the total numbers of people who have come to India as a result of religious persecution from the neighboring countries. Still we are accused of being appeasing a particular group of people for political reason. Of course, there may be political interest for political parties, but in this regard, it is sovereign duty of the government to ensure that our borders are secured, and those who are inside the border, we must know who are they, how many of they are here. So, when we started to find out how many refugees are there in India, Anybody who is in India must be treated with all humanitarian anger. Because as a democratic country, as a civilized society, we have to treat everybody as equal. When it comes to status, with regards to political, other things, we can discuss about that. But if we talk about who should be given food, we can't determine who should be given food or who should not be given food on the basis of his nationality. Anybody who is in India is a resident in this country. When it comes to citizenship, we can have a definition for that. But the fact is that though we say that we are information technology superpower, but there are so many deficiencies in the country. I'm not going to talk about all those technicalities. Enough of presentations are being made. In fact, we are sitting in the government to understand the things only if we are given proper feedbacks, proper information. And I'm also benefiting a lot. And today also, with these two papers being presented, and of course I'm also going to go through the contents very briefly and very effectively, which we have brought up into crisp books, which will also benefit me also in carrying forward the objectives which we have set ourselves for. Now, we talk about disaster. As rightly said that you can't prevent disaster, you can't prevent earthquake, you can't prevent cyclone. 2 days back we were discussing about the cloud burst, and the expert officer said that there is no way we can predict cloud bursts. What can we do? There's a limitation with regards to how much human being can do. How can we prevent earthquake? Even if we know earthquake is going to come, is there any way to prevent earthquake? You cannot. The only way is how to prepare ourselves to deal with any kind of challenges. I always look from the very positive angle. When I was attending the World Reconstruction Conference in Washington DC, and I said there also that I take up disaster as a challenge, because simply you can't prevent it. And the concept of build back better, that we take up this as a challenge and we will come back stronger. Means if a house is destroyed, we will build a better house. If a road is destroyed, if a bridge is destroyed, we will build better. But the thing is, how to prevent it, how to mitigate it, or how to carry forward the idea of disaster risk reduction. It is only possible if we have better preparedness through awareness. I always say that, and it is also been mentioned that India has a fantastic institutional mechanism in place. Of course, in 2005, as a member of parliament, I was one of the key speakers in Lok Sabha while we were enacting the National Disaster Management Act. We are satisfied with laws. Normally we are very satisfied with laws in India. All the provisions are available in the Act. And recently, the Honorable Prime Minister has also launched the National Disaster Management Plan. And our member is sitting here, the NDM has done an excellent work. And I got personal calls from the UN body to congratulate for the India is one of the first country to bring out a National Disaster Management Plan. But the question is, how much these good laws, good acts, good plans, good initiatives really going to benefit the people? I have been going to many places at the time of disaster, and there are many flaws which I have observed. Lack of capacities maybe, lack of awareness, resource crunch, many things at many levels. There's no point to discuss in detail here. But the thing is, unless every individual is empowered through various means, no matter how much policies we are going to formulate, will not actually result in preventing or mitigating the disasters. I think the Internet of Things is very interesting. I'm not an expert person to comment on that right now, but I'm going to take it forward. Each individual has to be empowered, and this is how I connect it, Internet of Things. Sometimes media also can report on time, but more than media is now social media, because every individual is having a mobile phone. He's connected with the world. I always say that when I'm traveling in planes, in helicopters, maybe flying from Delhi to one of the places in North India, I don't use mobile phone because I don't get the network. But when I'm flying in Himalayan region, in northeastern region, I'm constantly in the mobile territory with the network being connected, because these are hills and mountains, so all the towers are erected on the hilltops. So all the time you are with the network. So whether you're flying in a helicopter or you're just walking in a very remote village, you are connected with the world. This is so interesting. So if this Internet of Things, if you really can disseminate information in the palm of a person, then dissemination of information is right there. You can immediately reach out to the people. And it can really energize the whole community if you can really empower each individual with all information made available to him. We can discuss about all these things later, because this is just a presentation, and I'm also going to see that in next few weeks time, if I can have a meeting within the ministry, especially in the disaster management division, to see that these two important presentations being made, especially the disaster management one, I can inculcate that in my way of thinking in carrying forward the objectives. This is really interesting. I have not really thought about, so I'm not sharing now how to take it forward, but I have really definitely thought it that I am going to do something on these papers which you have presented. And on the Aadhaar issue, any objective of the government is, or it has to be citizen-centric. And you all know the concept of Antadyay, which Pandit Dindal Upadhyay had conceived in 60s. When we talk about the Ram Rajya, or to make a very beautiful society, this concept cannot be fulfilled unless the citizen is in the center of the government's policies. And Aadhaar is so important. You know, initially when we came to power, many people said that the government might just do away with Aadhaar because this was conceived by the earlier government. But look at the way our Prime Minister thinks, and he looks at the issues. He says this is a fantastic idea, but it is a bit slow, so we need to really speed it up. So we told both our RGI, the Registrar General of India, to do his part of the job, the population registration, and the Unique Identity Authority, the Aadhaar part, you also do it fast, go ahead, so that ultimately we have to integrate the whole, the figures which we have in the government. So this Aadhaar card is very interesting. Ultimately, every Indian or every resident is going to have an Aadhaar card. And we are really pushing it. Once everybody holds this card, then the challenge is how to make the direct contact between the government's policy and the citizen, the beneficiary. There has to be nothing in between. That is why I stated the concept of too much of government has to be really done away with. We are here to formulate policies, programs to ensure things go on, but why should we intervene? Why should I be the person who should decide that who should be the beneficiary? And even when we talk about connecting villages with roads, we have policies like this is the stipulated population which one must qualify. There are many, kind of obstacles being created with the government itself. I really don't want that there should be anything between the citizen and the policy. A citizen must be the direct beneficiary, and government officers or bodies must be only a facilitator. The papers being brought up by the organizations like MAIT are to be given a serious thought. Otherwise, we in the government have this habit of giving importance only to the reports of government appointed committees or organizations, or those bodies which are statutory or constitutional. We have to really go away from this. The professional bodies must be given due importance. There is only way out to empower India, because the brain is there. If we really need innovation, then we really need to empower the civil societies, the professional business groups, the bodies like MAIT. These are the bodies which must guide the government. And we are in the government today in a very interesting point of time. I remember as a member of parliament, last decade, we used to travel abroad. I used to travel as an individual citizen also. People used to treat India just as a country. But today, the global community looks at India as a driving force, which Prime Minister he keeps mentioning that India is a bright spot, if you see in the global financial sector. When the whole globe is looking at India as a driving force, then we can't just afford to lag behind in any sector. We really need to move forward. And in Home Ministry, we have so many things to do. Of course, our focus is more on the security matter, and I always don't talk much about other subjects. But there are many things attached to Home Ministry. I try to do justice with proper input from various sectors. Because people like us, who live with the people, who are elected with the people, and so much of expectations because of the faith being reposed on us, sometimes I fear that if I don't get correct inputs, then I will not be in a position to really stand up to the expectation of the people. And the only way out is to get correct and more important bodies with us like MAIT. These are the bodies I look forward for information, for guidance, and for objective solutions to the problems we are confronted with today in this nation. It is a large country. Our problems are too big even to talk about. Where to begin? From every village to every city. And today this very important presentation about the floods in urban cities and the example being made of the capital of Argentina. It's very interesting. And in next one decade, once the concept of our smart cities really take off and take shapes, the challenges we are going to face is going to be enormous. Not only smart city has to be secure, but it has to be disaster resilient in any way. If it is not disaster resilient, it cannot survive. Because one natural disaster can make everything back to zero. I have, as a disaster champion, Lieutenant General knows it, just because of my, probably I try things honestly. So the United Nations body has recognized me as the disaster champion for the Asia Pacific region. So I try to reach out to the people and to work with the community at the grassroots level, because the resilience has to be at the grassroots level, at the community level. That is what I also relate myself with this in terms of things which we have talked about. I must thank you for inviting me to speak here. And our NDMA member is here, Lieutenant General. If you need any assistance with regards to disaster management, they have all the papers and documents with them. And in a Home Ministry, of course, as a nodal ministry, our disaster management division is very active. I have tried to really change in last 2 years, especially when I was made as a minister in charge for the disaster management. I've really tried to inculcate some kinds of energy into the division so that we should be quick in our response, we should be visible, and I'm also happy that the United Nations has recognized for that. And for that other thing, we need to do much more, and I'm sure that in the days to come, we will integrate various stakeholders into our effort in dealing with this subject. And many citizens are coming to us asking about how we are progressing in this field, and I'm sure we are doing what government is intending to do. After all, it's a partnership. The days are gone when government decides everything. Government is there, but government is just partner. We will have to move together. I'm thankful for the wonderful 2 papers you have presented, and I'm thankful for all the members who have participated here. And in the future, I will always be available for any kind of support. As a member of the team, you can always consider me as a member of the team. We will have to work together unless if I change my subject, if I move to some other ministry, I don't know. But as long as I'm in the Home Ministry, I'll always be ready. Else, I'll always be ready as an Indian citizen. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Padmanabh.
I'm Sam.
My name is Tsuneo Murata.
My name is Yutong Huang.
And you are watching
You're watching
ELE Times TV.